The March of Life 2010 in the Ukraine. The veil of silence is broken. Hatred, fear and trauma disappear. In events in more than 17 cities with over 4,000 participants, the descendants of Nazi perpetrators from Germany asked the descendants of the Holocaust victims in the Ukraine for forgiveness. Their fathers and grandfathers were involved directly or indirectly at this mass murder. Rachim in Hebrew means grace. Only if we are willing to expose sin, the blood of Jesus will cover it with His grace and change entire cities and nations. The main memorial event took place at Babi Yar in Kiev.
The reason why we are here with 200 Germans is that we try to find words which our fathers and grandfathers could not express.
The press conference before the memorial service is crowded. 14 TV stations report on the main memorial ceremony in Babi Yar at prime time. Broadcasters such as the BBC, Eurosat and Sky News, the New York Times and Israeli TV take the message of healing and restoration to the world. The former ravine at Babi Yar has a horrible history. On the 29th and 30th of September 1941, within 36 hours, over 33,000 Jews were systematically shot by machine gun fire. Especially those who survived the Holocaust here. With all my heart, I want to ask your forgiveness. Survivors of the massacre at Babi Yar declare their personal forgiveness. Later, during a personal conversation, the Israeli ambassador to the Ukraine said, "By profession, I have to participate in many commemorations every year. But what I've experienced here today has touched me so deeply that I could not hold back my tears. I will pass everything I've seen here on to Israel." Pastor Boris Gryzenko explains the historical dimension.
Never before different denominations, as well as Jews and Christians, have worked together in unity this way. It is the first time for the media in Ukraine to report so positively about a Christian event.
An unmistakable never again against modern anti-Semitism today. Shortly after the memorial service, the participants split into different teams and walked the shape of a Star of David around Kiev. The descendants of the victims and the perpetrators, Ukrainians and Germans, Jews and non-Jews, joined in prayer at various stages. Babi Yar is just one of the many atrocities in the Ukraine during World War II. Almost the entire Jewish population was killed in mass executions and massacres outside of concentration camps. Approximately 1.6 million Jews fell victim to the Holocaust in the Ukraine. This happened almost everywhere. It was impossible for anybody in the German army not to be involved or ignorant. This part of Ukrainian history is still barely worked through in the country and is still in the dark today. Numerous mass graves are still undiscovered. The 200 German participants visited 17 cities throughout the entire Ukraine, sites of unimaginable suffering during World War II. All of these cities had prepared commemorative marches and reconciliation events. Zhytomyr, then the center of the Hasidic movement. In 1941, the city was occupied by German troops. Most Jews from Zhytomyr and the surrounding area were murdered. More than a third of the city's population fell victim to the racial hatred of the Nazis.
Für uns als Deutsche
И за нас, немцы,
bitten Sie von ganzem Herzen um Vergebung.
от всего сердца я прошу вас прощения.
Ukrainian pastors too prayed and humbled themselves for the joint guilt of the Ukrainian aides during the German occupation. Mayors and officials from the city, pastors and representatives of the Jewish community and Holocaust survivors experienced healing, reconciliation and grace. At the site of a mass grave, the deputy governor of Zhytomyr province summarized:
The March of Life brought healing and reconciliation like we have never seen in the Ukraine before. You succeeded in doing something that our former president of the Ukraine also had wanted to do. Unfortunately, he was not successful. Please come again. You will always have open doors here.
The March of Life united churches and congregations that had never worked together this way. More than 100 Christian and Jewish congregations and over 4,000 participants, as well as numerous other officials, attended the events across the country. Extraordinary media coverage carried the message of healing and restoration far beyond the borders of the country. The veil of silence was broken. A statement against anti-Semitism. A statement for Israel. Cities and nations are healed. The March of Life, an unmistakable call for reconciliation and restoration.
Rachem no Hashem Elokeinu Rachem Al Yisroel Amecho Rachem V'al Yerushalayim Irecho Rachem Rachem